What's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazy Frankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 11 for key game picks. Now, I'm gonna try not to talk about Week 10 so much because, like, this is probably gonna be a long video and the reason for that, I'm gonna get into a little something here. Um, and what is that something here? Well, we're in Week 11. There's only 6 games remaining left on the schedule. And like I said, and many people, and you might think it's a little bit early, but why not? Why not talk about the playoff picture right now? Well, since we're in week 11, we're now past the halfway point of the regular season in the NFL. And here are the current standings right now towards both conferences right now. In the AFC conference, New England is the first seed, Denver the second seed. Both those teams are at 7-2, so basically they're fighting for that home field advantage for the time being. The Colts are the third seed at 6-3. The Browns, believe it or not, well, they're currently leading the division. That AFC North is still up for grabs right now. They're currently at 6-3. And the wild cards right now, the first wild card goes to the Chiefs at the moment, and in the sixth and final wild card spot, believe it or not, the Bengals still clinging on to that last spot. Which, I mean, if anybody who saw that game between Cleveland and Cincy, that game, who saw that coming? Who saw the Browns beating the crap out of the Bengals in that one? I don't know how the Bengals are still clinging on to that final playoff spot, but they are. In the NFC conference, we all know the Cardinals are currently the 1 seed because they're 8-1. They only lost 1 game, but the Lions are the 2 seed for the time being right now. Green Bay still trying to catch them in that NFC North division. The Eagles, they're in first place in the NFC East. They're currently the 3rd seed at the moment at 7-2. And believe it or not, the under 500 New Orleans Saints are the 4th seed. Believe it or not. Well, then again, of course, that NFC South division is terrible this year. I don't know how they have that division lead right now, and they could still make the playoffs regardless. And currently, right now, the first wildcard spot, the Cowboys currently have that. And, of course, the Seahawks have the second wildcard spot, or the 6th seed at the moment right now in the NFC conference. So, like I said, a lot of juggling on from there on towards the end of the season. Those are your current seedings right now as we are in the second week of November, and we're getting inches closer to getting close to playoff time. So why not talk about a little bit of it? Anyways, quick thoughts here on Week 10. For the second consecutive game in a row for the Detroit Lions, they came from behind, beating the Miami Dolphins. And I got to give the Lions a ton of credit. Their defense was able to hold on in that game, but the offense really was all by luck. I mean, without Calvin Johnson in this game, who knows if the Lions would have beaten the Dolphins in that one. So it was huge that Calvin Johnson came back, but unfortunately Reggie Bush came back, but then he also got hurt in that game and did not return. So his health status again is going to be a huge question marks going into the final stretch for the Detroit Lions in their fight for the NFC North division, with the Packers not far behind them by 1 game. San Francisco may have salvaged their season going into New Orleans, and what a play by Colin Kaepernick late in the game. I think it was over a 40, 45, 50-yard pass that was enough to give them field goal range to tie the game, and then they won by a game-winning field goal. But of course, that fumble in overtime by the Saints really gave them that opportunity to win. And like I said, right now, San Fran's still not far out of the playoff picture right now. I think they're currently 7th or 8th seed right now at the moment. That really, really saved their season for now, because their stretch is only going to get difficult from now on. Of course, their first task is they have to take out the Giants in their next game. But like I said, this San Francisco 49er team, they're still finding ways to win games, but then from last week, who knows if they're going to do another screw-up again. But one bright side for the 49ers here is Aldon Smith coming back from suspension. He's been reinstated in the NFL from the last I've read as at the time of this video. I don't know if he'll be playing this Sunday against the Giants or not. That's still to be determined. You're going to have to go through NFL.com And or if you're a 49ers fan, go to their website and see what to expect now. Green Bay's dominance. How do you like that? Aaron Rodgers, 6 touchdown passes. But I think the moral story in this game was more the Bears just laid down and let Green Bay whip their ass. Now, a disturbing trend that happened, I mean, as I heard from sports radio talk and all that and through social media, whoever was really saying disgusting things or just vulgar language and all that to Coach Testman's daughters and all that, that is just wrong. Whoever did that, that is just not right. Look, I know all you Bears fans are frustrated, and you know who doesn't want to show hate against their arch rivals. But come on, to go to a very personal matter and towards Coach Testman's daughters like that and saying bad stuff, that's just not right. That's one of the trends and what's happening now on social media is that we're getting away with saying all that disgusting, vulgar, and words, you know. But that's a whole nother subject that really I mean, this is all about sports here, but I just want to throw that little rant out there. That to me is just disgusting there. But anyways, no, for the Bears and all that, with all that talent on that team, and yet they get embarrassed on Sunday night and against your arch rival, that is just pathetic. I've never seen a more pathetic performance other than the Oakland Raiders this season. And of course, Cardinals still on a roll, but of course they lost Carson Palmer for the remainder of the season. I feel really bad for Carson Palmer. You know, he came back, he's having a comeback year, and then he hurts his ACL again. Remember the first time he hurt himself was in that playoff game against the Steelers back in the 05 season. Boy, I really feel bad for Carson Palmer. I mean, he was having a comeback year. He was definitely going to be the NFL Comeback Player of the Year for sure, but then that ACL injury, you got to feel for the guy. I mean, that is just something that, you know, you don't expect. You know, there's a lot more things that I could talk about from week number 10 and all that, but I want to get straight into week 11 now. Now, there's 14 games on the schedule. 4 teams are on a bye this week, and schedule for week 11, it was a little bit tough for me. I mean, I had to think about this through before I started this video, and all. They got some pretty good games, but I had to break it down. I try to be as fair as I can be to throw in some talk on the video because, like I said, my whole theme for the videos. I mean, I only talk about 4 games here. The rest of the NFL schedule and the games for that week, I always save it for my writing blog. So if you want the whole week and what I think which team's going to win or lose or whatever perspective I have on it, you have to go to my writing blog at thesportblog.blogspot.com for more insight. But anyways, these are the 4 games that I got for this week. All right, key game number 1. It is the Seahawks at the Kansas City Chiefs. Both teams coming off huge victories last week. Seattle's back on a roll. KC still rolling along as well. So both teams, this is a toss-up in this game. No question. This game could not be any more of a toss-up here. Both teams are finally getting on a roll. And for Seattle, I mean, they're going to need to get on the roll because Kansas City's not an easy place to win at, and Seattle seemed to be struggling on the road a little bit this season. But if there's one thing, the perspective and all, I think that the reason why Seattle is kind of a let me look at NFL locks NFL odds.com for a minute here. Going into week 11. Kansas City is actually the favorite in this game by 1.5, believe it or not. But the reason why this is a toss-up here, it's because, you know, Seattle's factor is noise, and they play in a noisy stadium, and they know how to deal with the pressures of heavy noise in a stadium. So this could not be any more of a toss-up here. This is why it's going to be a very close game here. I expect that. Both teams have good power running, but of course, the running game is a little bit more towards the Seahawks because they got Marshawn Lynch. The way he played last week against the Giants, basically demolishing them, and of course, Russell Wilson with his mobility and running ability is going to really give Kansas City quite a hard time even in their house. So, who wins this game here? I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks here. The noise factor is not going to be a problem in that place. They know how to play in a noisy stadium because they play in a noisy stadium. That is not one, that's just a small factor here. I think their running game is a tad better than Kansas City's. Alex Smith is going to if he's getting pressured, he's going to have to really if Seattle's defense can get it together, making the force to turn the ball to force some turnovers here, that's going to be a problem for the Kansas City Chiefs in this game. So no question on all that. I'm going to have a slight edge to the Seahawks here. And there's no question. I kind of see them winning this game here. This would be a huge road win for them as they're trying to catch the Cardinals in that NFC West division, in which in 2 weeks they're going to play. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks over the Chiefs. Key game number 2, the Detroit Lions and speaking of the Cardinals, at the Arizona Cardinals. Detroit's winning comeback ways, sometimes I gotta wonder how much luck is that offense gonna run out. Now I know they're playing a little bit more disciplined, more defensively, and not taking stupid penalties all season long. But really, they're really one of the key things I'm seeing. One of the key points that I'm making here is really how much offense and comebacks can they handle. I mean, Matthew Stafford is having a decent year. I mean, he's playing a tad better than he was last season. But and this is not the same Arizona Cardinals team we've known over the years. Remember, this year they're good, even though despite they don't have Carson Palmer for the remainder of the season, as Stanton now is going to have to step in for them as quarterback. For Arizona, well, simple as that. Look, Stanton did play most of their games before Carson Palmer came back from injury, and now Stanton, he knows the offense very well. So if you're a Cardinals fan, I wouldn't panic all that much. I think the only panic I would see would be if the Cardinals make the playoffs here, and let's see if Drew Stanton can handle the pressure in the playoffs here. But talking about this game between these two teams, Arizona is favored by 2 in this one. So it is kind of a toss-up here. Detroit, look, like I said, Detroit is not really much of a road team this year. And the running game, you got to wonder if, like I said, I don't know what the status of Bush, if he's going to come back for this game. I think, last I read, he's probable for this game. I mean, you have to go about it during the week to see if he'll be ready for this one here. But who wins this game here? It'll be a close game, no question. But I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals here. They're at home. They're playing well. I don't think Stanton at quarterback is going to be much of a problem. He's played some of the games majority of the season so far, and he knows the offense very well. And the offensive line has done a great job of keeping the quarterback at bay, even though they couldn't stop Carson Palmer from getting hurt, though. But it's more or less who has the ball, who controls the ball, who controls the clock, and doesn't turn the ball over in this game. So who wins this game? Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to pick the Cardinals here. Cardinals over the Lions. Key game number 3, a big one here. The Philadelphia Eagles at the Green Bay Packers. Both teams coming off huge victories. Philadelphia from Monday night beat the crap out of the Panthers, and Green Bay with their huge massacre over the Bears. Boy, tough one here. This is a tough one here. Big toss-up here. Even though Mark Sanchez did a fantastic job with that Philadelphia offensive line and throwing, I think it was 2 touchdown passes, or 3, I think. It was 2 or 3. It was something like that. But really right now, Green Bay is on a, but then again, you're going to face a tough Green Bay opponent here, and this is in Lambeau Field. Green Bay continuing their dominance, and are they one of the teams to be reckoned with in the NFC Conference? It's really too early to say right now because Green Bay does have some some difficult games coming up. But in terms of what I see coming out of this game here, it's really, really tough to say here. But I would say, I mean, from what I'm reading at the websites here from the locks, Green Bay is a 5.5 point favorite in this one. Because the factor is, can Mark Sanchez make it 2 in a row? Can he go into Philadelphia and beat the Packers? With the way the Packers are playing right now, they're finally getting it together. So who wins this game here? As much as I like the Philadelphia Eagles and I cheer for them, they're one of the other teams I cheer for. on a personal level, but not to be biased here. Whenever I talk about the NFL on my blog or videos here, um, I'm going to give a little bit of an edge towards the Green Bay Packers here. I just think they're too good at home. They haven't lost a home game all year. They're fortunate enough to be playing very well at home. And so far, you give a lot of props to the way the Packers have responded after their losing ways at the beginning of the season. Philadelphia, there's big question marks. Can the running game for Philadelphia get it together to beat that defensive line of Green Bay's? And can Mark Sanchez continue to stay red hot? Those are big question marks right now for that Philadelphia team. But I'm going to go with the Packers here because I just think the Packers are too good at home. They're playing fantastic football. I mean, if Nick Foles was playing in this game, I would probably flip-flop on that pick. But Green Bay's just too good at home, and the odds makers have them a 5.5-point favorite, and I agree with them. I'm going to say the Packers beat the Eagles in this one. And key game number 4, the New England Patriots at the Indianapolis Colts. Now, this was always a marquee matchup when Peyton Manning was quarterback for the Colts, and it's still kind of a marquee matchup, even though Andrew Luck's the quarterback now for the Colts. But I'm looking at the odds makers' websites, and they have the Colts as a 3-point favorite in this one. I would say this game is a toss-up here. This game is kind of a toss-up, and the only reason is slightly a toss-up, I should say, because there's been some games Indy had looked terrible. And I know they're at home, but so far New England has played very well on the road, even though I think their only road loss has been in their only 2 road losses have, well, of course, they've been in Miami and Kansas City. But look, like I said, the Patriots are playing at a very high level, and they're definitely a team and they're definitely a top contender for the top seed in the AFC conference. And like I said, Gronkowski's playing better, and Tom Brady has basically been on fire. He hasn't turned the ball over as much as he did earlier in the season. But the way I look at it in this game here, I mean, it is slightly a toss-up because the Patriots are on the road here. But Indy has already lost the home game this year. So it's not to say that home field is going to matter in this game here. But if you look at it from perspective, Indy's defense is going to have to really find a way to stop Brady. And Brady's been pretty good in their offense as of late, and they're really getting it together and clicking. I mean, I don't think that even double teaming Ron Gronkowski is going to matter if Tom Brady's finding other weapons. So who wins this game? I'm leaning towards the Patriots here. The Patriots are just playing very well. Indy kind of does have a little bit of some issues defensive-wise because they've given up quite a lot of points, especially the game against Pittsburgh a few weeks ago. So this is why I lean towards the Patriots here. I just think the Patriots are playing too high of a level here. They know Denver's right behind them. It's a battle for home field advantage in that conference. So they know full well that a lot is riding and a lot of games coming up. It's not going to be easy for them. But for this game here, I'm going to go with the Patriots on the road here. I just think like I said, this team is playing at as high level as they can get. So I'm going to say the Patriots over the Colts. Well, that's it, everybody. That's it for my picks for week number 11. Go to thesportblog.blogspot.com for all of my week 11 picks. And until then, I will see you all next week when I talk about my 4 key game picks for week number 12. Until then, enjoy your football weekend, and I'll see you all next week.